Scented ASMR. Hello everyone, welcome to Scented ASMR. Today I want to share some fragrances that contain my favorite floral note, which is rose. This one that I want to start with, this is one of my all-time favorite rose fragrances, and it's called Parfait de Roses, and it's by Lancome, and it's from the Lancome line. Very pretty bottle. It has 2 gold plates on it. It's a rose. So, Parfait de Roses, it is a floral fragrance, and it was released in 2017. The perfumer is Natalie Lorson. Top notes are pink pepper and aldehydes. The mid notes are rose, grass rose, and the cure. The base notes are vanilla, benzoin, tonka bean, orris, and olibanum. And so this is a very sweet, jammy, gourmandish rose. I think this one is quite unique because the jamminess of the rose in here, it doesn't come from fruits. I think it comes from the liqueur note, which also makes the fragrance kind of boozy. It gives it a boozy quality to it. It also has aldehydes in here, which make the rose, it gives it some brightness, and it doesn't smell, the aldehydes don't come off soapy though. They're not soapy or sharp. They just add some brightness to the fragrance. The pink pepper in here, it adds a little touch of spice to it. And another thing that I really love about this fragrance is that there is like an airy powderiness to it. So you have this very sweet, syrupy, jammy rose, and then an airy powderiness that kind of wafts around the fragrance. I think this is pretty unique and I really like it. I think it's sad that it's been discontinued and it's really hard to find a bottle. I think the whole Maison Lancome line, I heard the whole line is being discontinued, which is a shame. They have a lot of good ones in there. But I do have a couple alternatives to this fragrance coming up in the video that smell similar. So if you're looking for this, you might want to test out the other two that I'm going to talk about, because it's really hard to find a bottle of this one. So that was Parfait de Roses, and it's by Lancome. So this one that I have here, this is one of my favorite rose fragrances, but it's also one of my all-time favorite fragrances. And it's called Sweet Diamond Pink Pepper, and it's by Kayali. Kayali. It has a cap that's shaped like a diamond. And Kayali has a really nice sprayer on it. So, Sweet Diamond Pink Pepper is considered an amber floral, and it was released in 2021. The perfumer is Gabriella Shalaru. The top notes are pink pepper, saffron, bergamot, and royal lily. The mid notes are Bulgarian rose, May rose, vanilla orchid, and magnolia. The base notes are amber, sandalwood, patchouli, and musk. And so this is a very sweet and also very spicy rose fragrance. It's the saffron in here gives it some spice, and it gives it the saffron and the rose give it a Middle Eastern vibe to it. But this is a more westernized spicy rose. It's a bit more mass appealing and easier to wear than some of the Middle Eastern fragrances. This one, it doesn't have any oud in it, although a lot of people say that they smell oud. I don't smell any oud in this, and I've heard Mona, the one who created this fragrance, she says that it's possible people are getting the oud from the saffron, that sometimes that can come off like, smell a little bit like oud. But I really love this fragrance. It was not a love at first sniff for me. I liked it, but once I wore it a couple of times, I just fell in love with it. And I find that with a lot of Kayali fragrances. They're usually just likes at first, but you have to wear them a couple times and smell the scent bubble around you. and you probably fall in love like I did. My daughter was wearing it for a while, and I could smell it on her, and it smelled so good. And this is something I could signature scent this one because I feel comfortable wearing it pretty much for any occasion and any weather. And it makes me feel very feminine and confident. I think because the contrast of the sweet rose, which is feminine, and the spiciness, which is traditionally masculine. I also pick up a lot of powder in this, especially in the dry down, which I really like because I enjoy powdery fragrances. So that was Sweet Diamond, Pink Pepper, and is by Kayali. This next one that I have here, this is from Musicology, and it's called The Rose. Has a record charm on here. I believe that the Musicology fragrances, I believe, are all named after a song. And I think that this one, I'm pretty sure, was named after that song, The Rose by Bette Midler. I'm not positive, though. That's my guess. And so the rose is considered a floral fruity fragrance, and it was released in 2020. The perfumer is Natalie Larson. The top notes are raspberry and peony. The mid notes are damask rose and violet. The base notes are vanilla and white woods. And so this is a very sweet and fruity, jammy rose fragrance. It's the raspberry in here is very prominent, and it's juicy and sweet, and it gives this fragrance a sweet syrupy quality to it. The vanilla is very deep and creamy and sweet, and it really shines through when the fragrance dries down. You get a lot of creamy vanilla. The violet in here, it gives it an airy powderiness to it, which is really nice. And this is one of the ones that I think smells like Lancome Parfait de Roses. It's actually the same perfumer, Natalie Larson. And to my nose, this smells about 90% similar to Parfait de Roses. The difference is the jamminess from the rose in here, that comes from a raspberry, while in Parfait de Roses it comes from the liqueur note. And so this doesn't have a liqueur note, and it's not boozy at all like Parfait de Roses is. It also has that same airy powderiness that kind of wafts around the sweet, jammy rose. It's really pretty. I love that. And so this is a good one to try if you're not able to get your hands on Parfait de Roses. But this is actually really nice as its own fragrance. I enjoy having both of them in my collection. And I would repurchase this once the bottle runs out. Very pretty rose fragrance. So that was The Rose, and it's by Musicology. This next one that I have here, this is by Tom Ford, and it's called Rose d'Amalfi. And I believe Amalfi means almonds. So Rose d'Amalfi was released in 2022, and it's considered a floral fruity fragrance. The top notes are pink pepper, bergamot, and Indian mandarin. The mid note is rose, and the base notes are heliotrope and almond. And this is a very powdery and somewhat fresh rose and vanilla fragrance. The rose in here is very sweet and it's sugary, but it's not a jammy rose, it's a sweet sugary rose. The citrus in here is pretty prominent, and it keeps the fragrance light and slightly fresh. The base notes of almond and heliotrope, they give this fragrance a nice fluffy powderiness that really stays throughout the wear of the fragrance. And although this is a very powdery rose, I don't find that it smells vintage or mature. To me, it smells like a modern rose. And this is the second one I have that I believe smells somewhat similar to Parfait de Roses, the Lancome Parfait de Roses. But this is just reminiscent of it. It's not very similar because the rose in here is not jammy. But the powderiness in here smells similar to me. It's like a fluffy, airy powderiness that kind of wafts around the sweet rose. So this is really pretty, and I think it's nice to wear year-round. It works nicely for me in the warm weather because of that slight freshness to it. I also think this is a unisex fragrance, but it does lean a little bit feminine. And so that's Rose d'Amalfi, and it's by Tom Ford. This next one that I have here, this is called Manakara, and it's by Indult. So Manakara is considered a floral fruity fragrance. It was released in 2006, and the perfumer is the famous Francis Kirk de Jean. He's a very popular perfumer. And the notes are damask pink rose, Bulgarian red rose, lychee, coconut, candied berry accord, vanilla custard, and musk. And this is a very sweet and fruity, candied-like rose. To me, the rose smells very sugary, and it has a syrupy quality to it from the berries. It almost smells like the rose petals were dusted with sugar. And the berries in here, the candied berry accord, it's a very, very juicy and sweet. And it's balanced by a little bit of tartness from the lychee. The vanilla custard in here, it's really creamy and sweet. And the coconut, it makes this fragrance smell tropical. And I really enjoy this. I think this is a very beautiful, fruity gourmand rose scent. It's really nice to wear when you want something very sweet and fruity. And I think this fragrance works year round. Some people may not enjoy it in the summertime because of the sweet syrupiness of it. But there is a little bit of freshness to it. Also, it's a touch aquatic. So I think this works okay in the summer. So that was Manakara, and it's by Indult. This next one here, this is by Joe Malone, and it's called Velvet Rose and Oud. Jomalone. Joe Malone. That's the bottle. It has a pretty bow on it. And it says Joe Malone, London, Velvet Rose and Oud, Cologne Intense. This is a limited edition bottle. The fragrance is still available, but it's in a different bottle. So Velvet Rose and Oud was released in 2012, and the perfumer is Fabrice Pellegrin. It's considered an amber floral fragrance, and the notes are damask rose, oud, praline, and clove. And this one is a very sweet rose and oud fragrance. The oud in here, it's very smooth and it's deep, and it helps round out the sweetness of the rose. I find Jo Malone's oud to be really pleasant and easy to wear. It's never sharp or loud. Also has a little bit of powderiness to it. And the praline that's in here is what adds the syrupy sweetness to the rose. And in my opinion, it pushes this into the gourmand category. It makes the rose smell a little bit edible. It's softly spiced from the clove, and I do pick that up in here. It goes nicely with the rose and the oud. And I find this fragrance to be a very sensual fragrance. I think this is nice for if you're dressed up and you're going out somewhere nice, or you just want something that's sweet and rich and sensual. Really pretty fragrance. I enjoy it. And so that was Velvet Rose and Oud, and it was by Jo Malone. This next one here, this one is by Parfums de Marly, and it's the very popular Delina. We have the two horses here. This is 1743 in the middle. I'm not sure what that symbolizes. Delina. Delina. We have a pretty ceramic pink bottle with the tassels and the scrolling. So Delina is considered a floral fragrance, and it was released in 2017. The perfumer is Quentin Biche. Top notes are lychee, rhubarb, bergamot, and nutmeg. The mid notes are Turkish rose, peony, musk, petalia, and vanilla. The base notes are cashmere, cedar, incense, and Haitian vetiver. And Delina, it's a very fruity rose and vanilla fragrance. The lychee in here and the rhubarb are very juicy and bright, and they give this fragrance like a mouth-watering tartness to it. Some people find that those two notes come off as being sour and they don't like it, but to me it's just tart and juicy. And what I like about this fragrance that makes it unique to me is I really pick up that nutmeg. It gives it an interesting spiciness that kind of blends with the creamy vanilla, and so it smells like a creamy vanilla nutmeg. I'm not sure if other people pick that spice up very much in here, but I do, and I like it. There's a little bit of freshness to this fragrance, but this isn't a very fresh fragrance. It just has a touch of freshness. It's more creamy and sweet with a lot of depth and smoothness from the cashmere and the vanilla. I consider this to be a masterpiece fragrance. I think that it deserves all of the hype that it gets. Even though it is very, very hyped up in the fragrance community, and even outside of the fragrance community, this seems to be mass appealing, even though it's unique. I often get complimented when I wear this, especially from men. They seem to really like this one. It also has excellent performance. I have to be in the mood to wear it, because I know that once I spray it on, I'm going to smell it on me all day. So yeah, I have to, even though I love it, I really have to be in the mood for it. It's just a beautiful, sweet rose and vanilla fragrance. So that's Delina, and it's by Parfums de Marly. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you again in one of my next videos.